and welcome again to Collector's Lot. This week I'm in a little place called East Portsmouth on the Salcombe Estuary in Devon. The views, as you can see, of the sea are absolutely stunning. The coast around here is hugely popular, not surprisingly, with those of a boating bent, and so accordingly I can say hello sailor later on to one of Britain's most famous nautical people, Che Blythe. And also Edwina Currie will be showing us the room that inspires her writing. Before that, though, Sarah Jane Checkland came to this wonderful rectory a week or so ago to have a look around and to meet the owners, Terry and Jean Rhodes.
Wow, what a blissful view.
Well, it's very, very lovely.
I'm not surprised that you've had a whole series of vicars living here in the house.
Well, they always knew how to pick their locations, I think.
Was it the house or the view that initially appealed to you?
Well, we both loved period architecture, and so when we saw the house, we loved that, and coupled with the view.
How much do you know about the history of the house?
Well, we know that it suffered fire damage somewhere in the 1850s, 1860s, and became derelict. It was subsequently then refurbished, rebuilt in round about 1880. Would you like to come in and have a look round now?
Yeah.
Great.
A bit nippy out here as well, isn't it?
Up to you.
A lovely porch.
Yes. On the original flooring still.
Yeah. Ah, and I see you've got some political prints.
Yes, they're rather fun. We bought them at an auction, had them reframed, and yes, they're great fun.
This is a very fine clock you got here.
Yes, that's from Modbury. It's a local clockmaker. He is listed, and we bought that in 1962 at a little auction in Kingsbridge. Come through and meet Jean now. Jean, this is Sarah Jane.
Hi.
Hello.
Gosh, what a lovely room. It's so warm and cosy, obviously the heart of the house. A lovely smell of cooking as well.
It certainly is. We use it all the time. We live here, all the family meet here, the grandchildren. It's great fun.
Tell me about the lovely display of blue and white behind you.
Oh, we've been collecting blue and white china for many years. It mostly is Italian-inspired. And these two plates are our latest acquisition. We bought them in auction in Kingsbridge.
Were they a bargain?
I'm afraid not. I'm afraid not. I paid far too much for them, but I loved them, so I went ahead and bought them.
While I wasn't there.
Uh-huh. How much did you change the colours to make the house your own?
When we took the house over, it was very, very nice, very immaculate, but very pastel-y. So we thought we'd use stronger colours in other rooms. We go through the little hall, we thought we'd have a bit of fun, and the cloakroom downstairs is rather fun with little Gothic features in there.
Ah, dining room.
Lovely, lovely room.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
The beautiful, what do one call this colour? Crushed strawberry or something?
Yes, it's a mix of two reds, in fact.
Oh, you've got a dog picture. They're very collectible at the moment,
Yes,
aren't they?
yes.
But I must say, you've got so many different styles in here. You've got here's a chinoiserie screen.
Nothing matches at all, but we think it's fun like this.
And now we've got, I think, over here, a touch of Gothic, I noticed.
When we first came in and saw it, we were a little bit taken aback. We love it now.
Oh, I've just spotted your amazing Baroque pelmet.
It came from our previous home, and it just fitted perfectly there. So beautiful.
Yeah, well, it's certainly the room that has everything when it comes to style. It's the house that has everything.
It is such a lovely house. I'm joined now by Edward Noel from Wales and Somerset, who's brought in from his shop a collection of jewellery in a style that's been popular actually since the Greek and Roman times. They're cameo brooches. And Edward, I must say, I've been educated. I thought they were much simpler than they in fact are. Could you describe what a cameo is?
Well, a cameo is the carving of a Greek scene or a head, often on shell, sometimes on stone. And these are various examples. If you like, we'll start with this particularly fine agate cameo.
Is this your pièce de résistance?
Absolutely. In point of fact, it's onyx and not agate, that particular one, with a gold and pearl border. It's a good example of a classical head. We could go on to a different type of cameo altogether. This is terribly rare. It's actually a Moor's head carved in opal.
What's interesting about these, is that one two separate stones or one?
It's one separate stone. It's always the strata of the stone that is carved away to give this wonderful impression of cameo.
Because I'd always assumed that the white carved bits were sort of stuck on somehow onto a background, but they're all carved, the stones or the shells are in layers.
That's right, yes, and the layers are carved to reveal the background. There was a period when glass cameos were made mostly in Scotland by a man called James Tassie, but you get all sorts of cameos. This lava stone, for
These are
instance.
stone ones, not
carved-
shell. Yeah.
Not shell, but carved from the lava from the Mount of Vesuvius,
All different colours.
all different colours.
Beautiful workmanship in all of these.
There's a lapis ring there. Perhaps that's the oldest cameo that we have.
How old is this?
It was made somewhere around about 1650. The cameo itself, the ring is actually later. Just below you, you've got a wonderful tiny agate cameo.
I think this is my favourite. I love this.
It's an 18th century stone cameo carved from agate and surrounded with diamonds.
Tiny diamonds.
It's
How much
quite
is that?
valuable. It's about £4,000.
Gosh. Mm.
Um,
What's the most valuable thing here?
The most valuable thing here is this necklace. This necklace is made of 18-karat gold, and it has actually 8 agate carved cameos. Interesting, because here you've got 3 stratas of stone where they've used the dark strata and then the white and then the deep colour below.
It's nice to see them in different forms, because I always thought they were just one single brooch at the neck and for day wear, but that's obviously for evening wear.
Absolutely. These are very interesting. These are typical of Victorian romanticism with the dove feeding.
I like the fact that they're different. One's bringing the food and then the other
Absolutely.
earring, they're actually feeding. Are they very collectible now, and what should you
They're
look out
still
for?
very collectible. What you should look out for is, number one, never ever buy a cameo that has a crack. I haven't any here that will show that. And really try to avoid buying cameos like this, where the whole of the back has been soft soldered in, and these plates have been added to it where the pin has
Yes, you can see the lumpy bits really where it's been repaired, and the pin doesn't look too good.
So when you're buying a cameo, you should never buy anything that has been repaired if you can avoid it.
What sort of prices should we pay?
Well, for a decent cameo, you have to think that they bring between £300 and £1,500. There are exceptional ones, of course. That's a very unusual
I like that one.
Victorian brooch and earring set, and that you would buy for between £250 and £350.
And that's on a jet surround.
And that's jet. They're shell cameos mounted onto jet.
I like that. Edward, thank you very much indeed. You've
My
educated me, as
pleasure.
I said. Thanks very much. And some fine craftsmanship now of a different kind. Caroline Evans makes collages, and today she's planning a clever and very complicated picture which requires a trip to the fish market, would you believe, before she can begin.
I get my ideas from the creatures around me that I look after. The ones I have come out better than ones that I try and do from photographs or memories. I don't usually try an animal I don't have fairly intimate knowledge of. And I've drawn a lot of animals, painted them, so I think they work best. And I like fish, I like the textures of fish. I get excited in fishmongers because they feel good, they look good.
270, 80 bid there, 280 bid there, now at 280. 280, Ross fish. Same again.
A good big fat gurnard.
24 kilo, any mediums there, 2 ways of mediums there then. 250,
And I think I'll try some John Dory.
80 on your cod there, 80 bid there, now 80.
Let's have them all.
Then out 450.
If I get 4 or 5 of these.
90 then out 90. On the 3. For the 95 then out 95. Pound then out, pound there.
Right, I reckon that's enough. That'll do. Right, I'm looking for reds and textures because when I'm selecting papers, I'm looking for texture and interesting shapes. This one looks good. I'll have some of this for the herring, the dark tops of a herring. The handmade papers from India are wonderful. They're made from all sorts of different trees and plants. Perhaps for the sea, I'm going to do the fish in the sea swimming along, perhaps shoals of fish. So that's a good colour for that. Lovely texture. I don't know what this is. Hasn't got a name. We could use that in a gurnard. Right, I'll move the fish so I can see them. And I'll draw. I only sketch because by the time I've covered up with bits of paper, I've lost all the sketching, any detail I've put on. So I'll have the gurnard going across the bottom. They've got amazing faces, these things. Lovely snub noses. I'm going to get these red mullet to swim into the picture. So there's a shoal of them coming through. I don't know that you need to be a good draftswoman. I don't think I am particularly. I think you just have to get fired up about your subject, really. I like the story behind the John Dory, which is called the St. Peter's fish, and the black mark on it, the circle, is supposed to be his thumbprint. They're just so spiky and beautiful and sad, really. They've got lots of character. They're also good to eat. Right, I think I've done enough drawing now, so I can get on with the background.
And we'll see the rest of Caroline's intricate work over the next couple of days. But just before the break, I have a letter here from Val Adams from the Poldark Appreciation Society. She says that since the untimely death of Ralph Bates, who played Mr. Warlegan, do you remember him, in the BBC's Poldark series, the Poldark Association has adopted the charity which was set up by Ralph's wife, Virginia, to raise money for the Ralph Bates Pancreatic Cancer Fund. Now, they're looking for Poldark memorabilia, she says, to auction off to raise funds at their 10th anniversary dinner. So if you think you can help, please do write to me at Collector's Lot, P.O. Box 17, Plimpton, Devon, PL7 5YG. And indeed, that's the address if you'd like to tell me about a collection that you have. After the break, the first of this week's competition clues, and sailor Che Blythe will be showing us some of his collection of maritime memorabilia. See you in a moment. Welcome back to this lovely rectory here, right on the Salcombe Estuary in Devon. The magnificent views from every aspect of this house should be enough to inspire anybody to put pen to paper. But creative writing, of course, is a pretty sensitive business. What are the requirements, actually, of proper writers when it comes to their workrooms? Sarah Jane Shetland and Mark Irving went to look at 3 very individual writers' rooms.
Oh no, I've got writer's block again. How am I going to get the creative juices flowing?
Find somewhere with a sea view.
Seagulls are too distracting.
Okay, find a power writer's studio with computer.
Not romantic enough.
Why? Do you need somewhere with rugs and funny, mysterious objects? Like Freud's house and clinic in London here, which people can come and see. It's an extraordinary place. It's full of the evidence of somebody who's charged themselves with the job of looking into the human psyche. You enter this room and you're entering Freud's mind in many ways. You've got Pascal's statuettes from all over the world, Greek, Hindu, Egyptian. You've got reams of books of poetry and philosophical tracts. It's got an engraving above me of Dr. Charcot, a 19th century French doctor who analysed hysteria for the first time. Clearly a bit of a hero for Freud. You've got photographs of his family, who are very key figures for him, I think. You've got Attic vases, you've got all sorts of Egyptian hieroglyphic pieces. But of course, first place of inspiration would be here on the couch, because it's the patient that gives the writer, the psychoanalyst, the first material.
Edwina, this is your powerhouse. What have you written here?
This is where I wrote my two most recent novels, the one that is out this year and the one that came out last year. And I do it mainly on my baby PC.
What are the prerequisites you've got in this room that help you write your novels?
It has to be light, it has to be warm. I need a good, solid, stable desk that doesn't wobble. I have a clock. I need to know what time I have to go to the Commons or my next engagement or whatever. A lot of the pictures are from France, of lovely places that I know. We've got a cottage there, which is where I go and relax. Cards from my children, which I appreciate, so I put them up there.
I see you have an exercise bike in the corner. Do you use that to keep the juices flowing?
Well, the exercise bike I don't normally use in here. It normally goes in front of the television set.
Do you seek inspiration by gazing out the window?
Oh yes, there are lots of times when I'll have a look out and look at the blossom during the spring, and we have robins out there during the winter and squirrels. But it's also, it just reminds me that writing books is a nice thing to do, and I'm very lucky to have that opportunity.
It is the heron and I, under judging Sir John's elmed hill, tell tale the knelled guilt of the led astray birds whom God for their breast of whistles have mercy on.
What does a writer need to write in? What kind of room? Well, if you're Dylan Thomas, you have a shed on stilts above the mud flats of the Taff estuary. It's not much of a room. It's 10 foot by 6 foot at the most. Plain, white painted, shabby. It's got a desk, a chair, and a view. And what a view it is, out towards St. John's Hill. But above all, isolation. Isolation from family and friends, and the annoyances of ordinary life. A place where a man, flamboyant in public life, a bit of a hard man in many ways, can be intensely concentrated and focused. And it was here that Thomas created some of his most extraordinary poems, some of the best things ever written in the English language, really. And behind me, we've got some photographs of some of the literary greats of the past, Thomas Hardy, Lawrence, Edward Thomas, people that certainly Thomas, or at least his admirers, feel he belongs to. But above all, I suppose it's the peace which this intense and rather flamboyant idler, as a friend called him, needed to write his poetry that this place provides.
And tomorrow we'll see some unique children's nurseries. Now for the first clue in this week's Golden Year competition. As usual, one lucky winner stands to win an all-expenses-paid weekend break for two, this week at the Five Lakes Hotel Golf and Country Club, which is a Johansson's recommended hotel in Essex. It's a hotel for the 21st century, really. It boasts state-of-the-art sports, leisure and health activities with a particularly wonderful 18-hole golf course. It's very close to Malden, which has its own antiques and collectors market on the first Saturday of every month, and also nearby Colchester has a host of antique shops for some holiday browsing. The runner-up will win a pair of the new Miller's Guides to Antiques and Collectibles. So for the clue, it is in fact this jigsaw. I've been doing bits of it in my spare moments. If you look at it very carefully, you can see that it is an aerial view of London's South Bank, and it celebrates the Festival of Britain, which was opened by the King and Queen in May of this particular golden year. So that's a pretty good clue. I'll also tell you that this was the year that Australian tennis star Yvonne Goolagong was born. So if you think you know the year I'm referring to, then call the competition hotline on the usual number 0891 447777. Another clue tomorrow, and Robert Opie will be here on Thursday with the answer. Now, Che Blythe is a world-famous yachtsman who's not only sailed non-stop around the world single-handed, he's broken nautical records, he's been awarded the CBE, and he's written 5 books about his adventures. Well, Jethro Miles recently went down to his home in Cornwall to find out about his life on the ocean wave and to see his collection of memorabilia.
It's a beautiful day. The sun's shining, the smell of the salt air, a beautiful day to go sailing. The trouble is, I'd be no good on a boat. Half the time I don't know whether I'm coming or going. This would be a help. It's a compass. If only I knew how to use it, which I don't. But I know a man who does. World-famous yachtsman, Che Blythe. Che, tell me all about this. What am I doing here?
Not a lot. What you've got here is a hand-bearing compass, which someone would use on board a yacht, and what they try to do is to take a bearing onto something on the land to help them identify their position. More accurate piece, of course, is one of the bearing plates. You then turn this to get the same sort of effect, to get a bearing onto whatever you want to do, a lighthouse or something peculiar. I think one of the interesting things is over here, really. And these are the charts that I use when I sail single-handed around the world against the prevailing winds and currents. Of course, this is actually the chart where I plot the position. And I look at it now and I get quite worried as to brings back all these memories. But these days, of course, you have navigation by satellites, where what we've got here is navigation by sextant. And you've got a fairly old one here, which is a double arc, which means to say there's like 2 arcs here.
So how much would a sextant like that cost today?
Being double arc, and it'll probably cost you about £2,000.
2,000. A lot of pennies. Tell me about these wonderful prints.
Well, these were done by John Stobart, the limited edition. This one is particularly exciting for me because I tried to break this ship's record by sailing from New York to San Francisco. Unfortunately, I capsized at Cape Horn and I was about 19 hours in the water.
Yeah. How did you feel when you were actually in the water waiting there? Did you know help was on its way, or were you feeling a bit anxious at any time?
Well, you can't assume help is on its way, but you hope it is, certainly. We thought we'd last about 5 days. There was 2 of us, myself and a chap called Eric Blunn. We thought we'd last about 5 days before we popped off, but fortunately there was a big Chilean fishing boat in the area that came across and gave us a pluck out.
And here you are today, wonderful. Are there any items amongst your collection that have special meaning for you?
Oh yes, I mean what we've got here in particular is the sword which is a replica of Captain Cook's cutlass, and it was given to me by the Royal Southern Yacht Club. In fact, it's probably the only one of its kind in the world, pedal handled. It's actually exactly as he'd have used when he stepped ashore in all the funny islands. It's actually wonderful, really.
You've got a lovely collection of items. You've picked these up all over the place. Is there anywhere locally that you go to increase your collection?
Well, there's some lovely shops around the Loo and Plymouth and places like that.
Have you ever been to a place called Bogey Nights?
No, I never have. I've heard of it quite a lot, but I've never actually got there. I'm sure I will one day.
Well, look, I tell you what, why don't we go there together later on, and perhaps we could guide one another and find something for your collection.
Well, I'd be delighted with that. I think it'd be great, particularly as I'm a jock and you taking me there. I'll choose it, you can buy it.
Yeah, very good, yes. All right, a deal.
And we'll see them go off on that shopping trip on Thursday. The maritime theme continues tomorrow on Collector's Lot with a report on HM Bark Endeavour, the replica of Captain Cook's tall ship, which is currently sailing around Britain. And also we have some classic plastic. So see you tomorrow. I got on with this jigsaw now. I'm doing quite well.